Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys our ICP Season 1 draft analysis. This is going to be a draft league hosted by my good buddy Seth, or SW087, I think is his YouTube username, but I think he obviously just goes by Seth most of the time. Awesome dude. If you're coming over from the draft stream that him and D-Ray hosted, hello, welcome, as I totally realized that my crop is bad for my green screen. There we go. But yeah, hello, welcome. My name's Owen. I do a lot of draft league content over here. Some pretty high level stuff. I'd like to think. I think I give pretty good analysis. And my main goal is to teach you guys to get better, as I strive to get better and things like that. So if you end up enjoying this draft analysis, go check out some of my other content. And if you enjoy that, be sure to sub. I'd really appreciate it. Just help us kind of grow the channel and push towards that end goal of 1,000, which would be awesome. But with that being said, enough kind of rambling and stuff like that. We can kind of jump into the draft analysis itself. Now, if you're coming from the draft stream, you know that I had 13th pick overall, and that's a really bad draft spot. Especially because we don't even have 16 coaches, it's 18. So I'm in a really shit spot. We're not close to a wheel, really. We're not close to the front wheel, obviously, because we're 13th. We're just right there in that really weird middle spot. So my game plan going into this was obviously draft the best Pokemon left on the board, and then we'll go from there. And there was a Celesteela still there. I won't lie, there was still Celly there. There were still things like Latios. A bunch of big threats were still on the board. And then there was also a Torn T on the board. You obviously see that I drafted Zeraora. I was kind of flip-flopping between Torn and Zera. Not because I think they're better than Celly. I think Celly is actually probably better than them. Some people might disagree in Gen 8, but I'm an absolute Celly Sam. Love them on to death. I decided to go Zeraora, though. I haven't used Zeraora in a couple months. I haven't used it in a Wi-Fi league at all this generation, and I think it's absolutely amazing. This thing is ridiculously fast. I believe it was base 143. So if we play Dragon Bolt, we have something that outspeeds it, which is definitely not a luxury that many people can afford, which is obviously awesome. Plasma Fist, obviously just being a very spammable move, doing a ton of damage off that 112 base attack. Can also go mixed or special with 102 base special attack, Calm Mind, and Bulk Up. We have great coverage in moves like Blaze Click / Fire Punch, Close Combat, or Sphere. Grass Knot for grounds, which I think is very important. Having a good, strong electric type that can also pressure ground in some way is awesome. We can obviously knock off, I believe we get a really fast taunt as well, which is really cool. Subtoxic Zera is not something that is beneath me. I'll 100% pull up with Subtoxic Zera, and I will Subtoxic Protect you until the end of existence. So that's obviously very solid as well. This thing is great with a band, with a Life Orb. Potential Shokaberry. Boot Zera is also an absolute demon to deal with. So I'm very excited for Zera. If you watched my APA Evo movie that I made 6-7 months ago, I had Zeraora on a grassy terrain team with Bulu and Mence and Mega Camel. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it there. It's just a great glue piece to a team, and a great revenge killer as well. So I was really hyped to pick it up. And then we go into round 2. Going in round 2, I don't typically plan super early. I plan when we start getting around 4 or 5. I kind of just start pairing Pokemon at the beginning of a draft, and something I really wanted in round 2 was Ferrothorn. And Ferrothorn did last to us in round 2, but then I was looking, and another Steel type popped up. And I know it's a lot of points, and I know I'm kind of biting the bullet really early and taking 2 18-point Pokemon this early, but I thought it was insane that this Pokemon lasted. Especially looking at some of the other round 1 picks after me and round 2 picks after me, I thought it was absolutely insane that this Pokemon lasted. There was no way I could let round 2 Celesteela in a 20-man or an 18-man league just happen. There's no way I could just let this, slide. I had to absolutely snag this thing up. Actually plays pretty well with Zera, being able to be immune to the ground types that are going to hit it super effectively, which is obviously dope. And then Zera having that Volt Absorb ability to be able to absorb those electric type moves that Celly doesn't appreciate, which is obviously awesome. We have to be a little bit careful because right now we obviously do have a Steel type that doesn't get rocks, which is something that's very annoying about Celly. I love them on, but very annoying having a Steel that doesn't get rocks. So we're gonna have to be careful about that, obviously. And it's a Steel that doesn't resist ice, so we're gonna have to patch the ice weakness. But Celly's amazing. In my opinion, it's a top 10 mod in the format at the very least. I would even argue potentially a top 5 mod, depending on who's using it. Can obviously be that fat sub leech protect type toxicking. Just absolute nuisance, but it can also be very offensive, whether it be physically offensive with big strong heavy slams, with being one of the heaviest Pokemon there is, or special with its great coverage on both sides. Meteor Beam is another awesome set you can autotomize up. I've even seen Assault Vest Silly put in a ton of work. So I think in the hands of a creative builder, and if supported well, Celestial is a crazy centerpiece, and I think Zero Aura is also a crazy centerpiece. And I think they work well synergistically, so it's not like they clash all too much. So I'm pretty happy with actually being able to stack both of them. Next up, we grabbed Nidoqueen. I wanted to secure a rocker. I wanted to secure my Grounded Poison, and I actually wanted to secure one of the best Zero Aura checks in the game. So that's going to be Nidoqueen here. Absolutely love this Pokemon. In Gen 7, I haven't drafted in Gen 8 yet, actually, which is crazy. But in Gen 7, this is my absolute favorite Grounded draft. I spammed Big Nidoqueen on most of my drafts, honestly, and that's obviously great. Getting T-Spikes with Selly plus Zero is obviously really, really solid as well, forcing a bunch of Poison Chip on a lot of their really annoying checks, which is super, super clean. Obviously has crazy coverage, and alongside that, Great Bolt can be very strong with Sheer Force and Life Orb boosted attacks, despite not having the greatest special attack or anything like that. Sheer Force is a really, really good ability, so that's obviously very, very nice for us. We have Zero to break through the Fat Waters that kind of can annoy as well, so that's obviously super dope. And yeah, it's a good fighting resist as well, because our flying type doesn't resist fighting, and it's a great Coco check. It's just a great mon overall. Absolutely love Nidoqueen. Next up, we grab Starmie. I wanted an ice resist. Look at my whole team. My team loses to the move Ice Beam right now, so I figured grabbing a good ice resist would be nice. Grabbing a good spinner would also be very, very nice. It gives us another secondary fighting resist, though Starmie is a little bit frail, but definitely something that's very nice. It gives us 110 plus and that speed tier rung. Obviously, we have Zero really high up, but I like having something around 115, 120 to deal with those mons and be a little bit more in the ballpark to where those 120 to 130 base speed mons aren't running Adamant and Modest versus us, which Zero would obviously already outspeed them, so they don't need to run timid to underspeed Zero, obviously, which makes sense. It gets momentum and flip turn, which is really nice. Can form a nice, decent little core with Zero, though they're both kind of checked by Fat Grasses, so they're not the best, you know, like flip turn or revolt turn core, I suppose. But definitely very solid nonetheless. Obviously, a very reliable spinner. Can be very strong. Power Meteor Beam sets are also super dope. So we got double Meteor Beam sweepers. This thing can be very strong with an analytic boosted Psychic or Scald or Hydro Pump or something like that. And can also be a great status absorber, which is our team doesn't appreciate the move Will-O-Wisp right now. And Starmie definitely doesn't care about the move Will-O-Wisp, which is obviously super dope. Crazy coverage. It's kind of a theme with our team. It's absolutely sick, nasty coverage. So Starmie obviously offers that as well, which is super dope. Reliable recovery and recover as well. So just a mon with a ton of utility that I think can kind of serve our team very well up to this point. Next up, we got Blaziken. This is a little bit better of a volt turn or flip turn core, I suppose, between Starmie and Blaziken, or Zera and Blaziken. They beat in those Fat Grasses, and then Blaziken comes in and it clicks U-turn and, you know, kind of repeats the cycle. Blaziken obviously did get U-turn this gen. It's obviously just ridiculously strong with Flare Blitz plus high jump, kick, or close combat. It can Swords Dance. It gets a priority in Vacuum Wave, which is also super sick. It gets Defog as well, which if in a pinch we need a Defog Blaziken, we can definitely do so. It gets Agility, it gets Swords Dance. We obviously can't run Speed Boost, because no league should ever allow Speed Boost, but it's honestly very solid nonetheless. We can run Fat Bulk Up sets as well. Mixed Life Orb is crazy. We get Knockoff as coverage. So just overall a very, very solid mod, and it pairs really well with Zera and Starmie, and really breaking down those Fat Grasses, to not forcing us into Selly all the time. We can make a little bit more of an offensive switch that maintains us momentum, especially if we have hazards like T-Spikes or Rocks Up and things like that. So that's obviously very solid. It's also a fire type that's neutral to Fairy, which is always a cool thing to have as well. Next up, we grab Clefairy. Now, if you look at our team, we're spending a lot of points right now. 18, 18, 12, 13, 11. I wanted to grab something budget. I wanted to grab my Fairy, and honestly, the best one left on the board that didn't cost an absolute ton of money was Clefairy. In fact, it cost an absolute, not a lot of money. It cost 1 point, which I think is absolutely insane. I think it's a steal for Clef. So we're keeping up the meme of round 6 Clef. The last 2 seasons NCP, Clef has gone in round 6, and we all screamed about it being early, but that's when Clef was like 4 points, which is pretty insane. Now this is 1 point Clef, which I think is absolutely a steal. Like I said, great utility. Gives us another rocker, because at this point we only have 2 rockers in Nidoqueen and Clefairy. So it takes a little bit of pressure off Nidoqueen. Not that Clefairy is going to come every week, but it takes a little bit of pressure off. We can Wish, we can obviously Rocks Up, we can knock off Encore, Healing Wish, Thunder Wave, a bunch of things like that. We can Baton Pass for slow momentum. I don't think we can run Soft Boil plus Teleport, which is why I say Baton Pass, but if we run Min Speed, we're underspeeding everything anyway, so who cares if we don't get like the absolute negative priority, unless we're playing like a slow bro or something like that. And it's going to be really solid, and I think the Healing Wish aspect is something that really drew me to Clefairy as well. Being able to Healing Wish into my Nidoqueen, Sarah, Celesteela, things like that is really nice, especially if we get a better Wish Passer later, because obviously Clef can Wish Pass, but it doesn't have very high HP stats, so we can't really do that. I've also seen Calm Mind Clef absolutely rip some teams if they don't prepare sufficiently, and this gives us an Urge Food check, and it's good to have an Urge Food check, because at the moment, we lose to the move Wicked Blow, so now we don't, which is awesome. Next up, we grab said Fat Wish Passer and Licky. If you know me, you know I love Licky. I'll draft this thing as many times as I need. It's my favorite fat normal because of the fact that it's so fat, it's so bulky, and usually those mons are kind of balanced out in the sense that they're very passive. Licky isn't, because Licky can't be taunted, and I think that's absolutely amazing. It has the coverage to usually avoid being subbed on, which is dope. I think SD and Curse Licky is also a demon, but this thing can Wish Pass into, honestly, our entire team and just kind of sit there. It gives us a Ghost Resist, which we don't have right now, or a Ghost Immunity, and having a Ghost Immunity is very important, so we don't pull up and be the guy that loses to Spectre. That mon sucks, and you just need one normal type, and this is ours. It's Licky, which is obviously dope. It gives another Cleric. Clefairy also gives us a Cleric, which is very nice. But overall, just an incredibly solid mon, giving us that Wish Pass, giving us that fat normal, so we don't lose to every ghost ever. We're still looking a little Gengar weak. Sorry, I have a blanket on. It's cold and it's late at night. We still don't have a great Gengar matchup, but at least we pressured offensively, and I don't think he can be Scarf for us, so that's dope, because Licky kind of forces it to not do that, but, yeah, basically that's going to be Licky. It's here to be fat and annoying. It's here to also check weather with Cloud9, because we can run Cloud9 plus Wish now, which is also very good. Like I said, I will draft this thing as many times as I humanly can. It is by far my favorite fat normal, and it fell to me here, so obviously I'm going to take it, you know? Next up, we got Frostlass. I want something around that 110 speed-ish mark. I wanted spikes. I thought spikes were absolutely imperative when you have a Zero Aura, when you have, you know, that kind of Volt-turn offense that we have right now between Zera, Starmie, and Blaziken being our main forms of offense at the moment. I think spikes with them are absolutely amazing, forcing chip on those checks, where over time we don't have to keep clicking flip turn, U-turn, Volt Switch. We can start clicking our attacks and start forcing some KOs, and Frostlass is great at that. It got triple axle this gen and Poltergeist, so it can run physical, because it has the same physical and special attack stat, so that's obviously super dope. And it's just overall great. Utility Mon, we can Wisp, we can Destiny Bond, we can Ice Shard things, we can obviously Shadow Ball and Ice Beam them, Thunderbolt, a bunch of things like that, or just get up spikes and die, and then Zero Aura can kind of win the game from there. So that's obviously very dope for us. And yeah, just an overall great mon, and it gives us a Ghost type as well, so it gives us a Rapid Spin blocker, which is always nice. And then Ghost is just a great offensive typing, even if Frostlass isn't the strongest thing in the world. Sometimes teams don't have a Bandit or a Specs Frostlass or a Life Orb Frostlass, so that's obviously pretty sick. Next up, we grab our Dark type and Big Guzzingtons, the best Ultra Beast on our team. Big Guzzlord, a Pokemon I'm really excited to use, especially if I saw Big Mr. Q the Costa Rican put Leo in the dirt with the lead 4 attacks Guzzlord. Actually, I drafted this first, and then I saw that game, and I was like, I gotta steal, man. This Pokemon's broken, right? It'd be the 6-foot hacks on lead. But I'm really excited for Guzzlord, honestly. I think with proper Wish Pass, I think it actually kind of fits our team very, very well. It gives us a Dragon, more importantly, it gives us a Dark. It gives us a really good Ghost Resist, and one that doesn't always care about being burned by like a Wisp Hex type Ghost if we can just Dark Pulse through them, which is awesome. Crazy coverage. We can pass Wishes into it with Licky. I think if we EV properly, this thing is almost unkillable unless you're clicking a Fairy move, and honestly, a Stab Fairy move at that, and even then, we can run a Roselia, we can run a big Heavy Slam, and absolutely sit on something with Big Guzz. And this Pokemon overall is very solid. I think it's pretty much always good to trade 1-for-1 if you play it properly and build it properly. So I think it actually fits great with this team. Both like Licky, Clefairy, Celesteela, things like that. It can definitely be very, very solid. One thing that's obviously scary for a team at the moment, which is something we have to keep in mind, are good offensive fighting. Someone with, you know, good knock coverage, you know, good poison coverage for Clef. We come, but even then, they knock us off. We're barely a Pokemon at all. So just something to keep in mind. But other than that, I think Guzz fits great. Next up, we grab Big Stone Journey. We got 2 rockers at the moment. One of them is Nidoqueen, one of them is Clefairy, and one of them is Stone Turner. Clefairy and Stonejourner are basically one rocker. They're both pretty bad rockers, but if you put both of them together, it's like one good rocker, because that's how math works. Stonejourner is very funny. He's my boy. He's 2 points. I really want to draft him. I also had a really cool idea for a custom shiny sprite, and I'm very excited to see him hopefully come to lots of games. Shouts to Liv for grinding for the very stupid sprite that I wanted, because it was probably very annoying to do, but I'm excited nonetheless. I hope it ends up coming to a lot of games so I could show that off. This honestly isn't an awful Pokemon. Obviously this def is non-existent, but its defense and its attack is decent. It has a decent speed tier as well. I had it in the Showdown League like really early in the gen of Galadex, and it put in a sizable amount of work, so hopefully I can use it well here. Not expecting too much out of it, but he's my boy, so I hope he does well. Clefairy was less than Stonejourner, by the way. I just want everybody to know that. And lastly, we had a ton of points, and I saved it up for big Tapu Bulu at the end. Nobody else had enough points to grab a Pokemon. 15 points by this point in the draft, so there was no reason for me to kind of not take this at this point. Yes, this is double fairy, but I don't really count Bulu as a fairy. This is my grass type. And if you look at my team really appreciates that grassy terrain. The whole team absolutely loves it. Nidoqueen doesn't care about it being mostly special a lot of the time, and if we're an Earthquake, we can obviously kind of not bring Bulu or something like that, but this Pokemon is great with this team. I love Bulu plus Zera. I think they're great together. It gives us a good ground resist, which is something that we really lacked at this point. It was just Celesteela. I didn't want to auto lose to Zygarde, and now we don't auto lose to Zygarde. We actually have an amazing Zygarde check in Bulu. This thing can obviously Swords Dance and just Horn Leash, Wood Hammer, Close Combat through teams, which is awesome. I wish it got Glide. If it got Glide, it'd be super nasty, but it does not. I wish it got Play Rough, but it doesn't, which is annoying. So it's not our fairy. Clefairy is our fairy, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it at least has the typing, so it can reap a little bit of the benefits from the defensive typing that fairy gives it. And yeah, just a very annoying Pokemon. I love using Bulu. I know a lot of people are, I feel like you either love Bulu or you hate Bulu and you think it sucks. I like Bulu though. I think Bulu is Bulu. Good lord, I'm tired. My nose is very stuffy. I'm sure you guys can kind of hear me being nasally. I don't know why. My allergies are awful today. But I'm very excited to use Bulu. I think it fits very well with this team. It gives me that ground resist, and it gives me that grassy terrain recovery to really up that defensive utility my team can have. And yeah, that's going to be our ICP team this season. Let me know what you think. Let me know you think I could have grafted different. What do you think we're missing right now? What are you most excited to see us use? All that fun stuff. And yeah, drop it in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.